In the last year, Spyro speedrunning has seen some of the biggest tricks ever found, and the holiest grails that have stood as monoliths for years get taken down, conquered, and decimated by legendary, dedicated glitch hunters and runners alike. But there's one trick that stands above the rest. I'm talking about a trick that's so crazy and so unlikely, so well safeguarded by the core mechanics of the very game itself, that even mentioning its very name causes laughter, arousal, and bullying from fellow speedrunners. I am, of course, talking about balloonist skip. Now, what is balloonist skip? Well, it's just skipping every single balloonist's dialogue, going to whatever homeworld you want, and not giving a fuck about their requirements. I mean, just think about it. The any % speedrun of Spyro the Dragon requires you to collect so much shit, and that's all because of the balloonists. You can't get past them. You have to give them whatever they ask for, including your firstborn son. It really makes the run 10 times longer than it really should be. What should be a 4-minute speedrun has been elongated to 40 minutes, all because of the fucking balloonists. And it's not like I'm crazy here. Look at any other platformer from this era. There are all sorts of ways to skip the required checks for collectibles and thus breeze through the game. But one clear difference from Spyro to these other games is a little thing called loading zones. Now, why do these skips in other games work? Look at Mario 64, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, Donkey Kong 64. All of these major sequence breaks involve accessing a loading zone that's already in the same map. It's only blocked off by some wall, some small texture, some little NPC you gotta interact with, and if you could just go fast enough, clip hard enough, do some wacky movement, then at the end of the day, you can touch a loading zone and access the next area. Well, what about Spyro? In Spyro, there is no loading zone between homeworlds. The actual transition between homeworlds is caused by the balloonist dialogue itself. That means that in order to access another homeworld, you have to talk to the balloonist and conform to whatever demands, wills, aggressive undertakings he may set upon you, and some of them are pretty fucking disgusting, if I dare say so myself. Like 50 dragons to get out of Beastmakers, 6,000 gems to get out of Dreamweavers, that's more than half the shit in the fucking game, man. So you can really understand why people would want to run categories that use cheat codes to bypass the balloonists. Categories like Vortex end up feeling like the true any % of Spyro, and a category like cheat % gives us a glimpse, an insight into what the true any % of Spyro could be if we could only skip these scarf-wearing Scandinavian scoundrels. So is all hope lost? Is balloonist skip just an impossible harebrained scheme left for us to just imagine and wonder what could be, when in reality it never will be? Well, sadly, yes. It's pretty much impossible in our current state of affairs. But what if it was possible? Like, let's play pretend for a moment. If you could do balloonist skip, how would you do it? Let's look back at some of these other games again. Ocarina of Time? Symphony of the Night? Sure, you could just complete the speedrun objectives as they were intended, touch required loading zones, and complete required requirements, but there's also another way to beat those games. And I'm just gonna tell you right now, this isn't for the faint of heart. If you've been watching speedruns for a while, I think you might know what I'm about to say. I'm of course talking about arbitrary code execution. Now, what the hell is that? In simple terms, this is a trick that corrupts your game in order to give the player access to the game's very code and alter it using in-game actions in order to rewrite the very code of the game itself and give yourself things like items, warp you around the map, and even trigger the end credits. You guys think what I'm thinking? Let's skip that fucking balloonist. But not so fast. Arbitrary code execution, or even the overarching concept of memory manipulation, is something that has totally not been found in Spyro games whatsoever. In fact, it's quite a miracle that such a trick could even exist in some of these other games, like Super Mario World, for example, where you can literally make your own game within a game by doing actions in the base game to create a new game. But in Spyro, we might be closer than we think. There's a glitch called Tiny Key, which occurs when the key that unlocks the strong chest in any given level deloads from RAM because you've been inside of the level for too long, likely dying because you're a fucking noob. Well, that key gets replaced with an icon because it falls out of the game's memory, but what if we could combine that glitch with something else in order to change the icon into something we could interact with, perhaps? There's another glitch called level disassociation, which actually messes up the level pointer of the game. You know how you can touch a portal in Spyro and the game takes control away from you while it loads the level? Well, level disassociation basically causes that, but allows Spyro to stay in the home world while still in that state. This means you can run around and do all sorts of things while the game thinks you're entering another level. So what if we stacked Tiny Key with level disassociation, say in the Magic Crafters or Beastmaker's homeworld? Is that even possible? And if it was, would we be that much closer to a memory manipulation glitch? Imagine you do that glitch and then the fucked up level pointer takes you all the way to Nasty's world, bypassing every single balloonist. Or imagine we're able to replace that Tiny Key icon with an infinitely collectible 25 gem or even a dragon. Those balloonists won't know what fucking hit them. Let me digress here. None of this stuff probably makes any sense at all, but it's the type of thought process that I want glitch hunters for Spyro 1 to start thinking along. We've found basically everything that you can do in normal gameplay. We gotta go deeper. We have to crack open the hood of this 20-some-year-old game and see how we can absolutely tweak the physics, the engine, and the memory of the game itself to get what we want. It's been done elsewhere, and I think it can be done here, but it's just a pipe dream at the end of the day. Nothing's confirmed, and nothing is impossible. Remember that. My name's Dayoman, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Hey, are you gonna, actually look for a glitch like this in Spyro? Well, I recommend, if you are gonna do that, to use an emulator called BizHawk. It has a really special property that not any other emulator has called RAM Watch, and it allows you to see the actual memory values of changing items and things happening live in the game while you're playing. It should give you a better insight into how to actually crack open the memory and code of the game itself, but since I'm talking about it, be sure to also check out the Spyro Scope, which allows you to click on objects in-game and see their actual hex memory address. Feel free to also check out the PSX modding toolchain made by Mateus Favarin, but guys, these are just all little resources that have been made by nerdy nerds that love PSX games as much as we do over the years, and I hope that you guys can use these tools we have to our advantage and crack open the final frontier of Spyro 1. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.